Welcome, traveler of time and spirit. Today you are about to witness not just a story, but a journey into the last breath of a man whose life was forged in battle and honor, the Roman soldier. As the sun dips into its final descent, we do not merely follow a warrior, we step into his soul. We feel the weight of his armor, the sting of his scars, and the echoes of his victories and regrets. This is not only history, but humanity laid bare. Courage, loyalty, sacrifice, and the unspoken yearning for peace in the heart of a man who has known only war. This video will not just tell you what happened, it will make you feel it as though you marched beside him, fought beside him, and finally, stood with him as the light faded. Prepare yourself for an odyssey where every heartbeat counts, every shadow whispers, and every flame of the setting sun marks the end of an empire within one soul. This is not simply a tale, it is a farewell, an eternal sunset. And you are here to witness it. What if the last sunset you ever saw was not upon a quiet shore, but upon a battlefield drenched in blood and memory? What if your final breath carried not silence but the weight of an empire's fall? Tonight, you will walk with a Roman soldier toward his last horizon, and feel every heartbeat until the sun disappears forever. Subscribe for more history, like and comment if you believe history should never be forgotten, and share to spark conversation about the lessons we must learn from the past. This is not myth, this is history, and it begins here. Dawn does not arrive, it is summoned, first as a pallid rim of light above the low hills, then as a breath that stirs ash and spear tips, and finally, as a bright blade drawn across the sky. He is awake before it, as always. The veteran knots the thong of his sandal and listens to the camp murmur, leather creaking, hushed prayers, the rasp of a whetstone coaxing an edge from yesterday's dullness. Beyond the palisade, crows argue over what the night abandoned. The trumpet waits on the cornice's knee like a coiled serpent, mute only out of mercy. When it speaks, it will carve time in two, before the call and after. He rises, the armor on its peg, gleams with the sort of honesty only iron knows. Each plate remembers a place, a river ford, where men vanished into brown water, a mountain pass that smelled of pine and fear, a street in a foreign city, where women watched from dark thresholds. He straps history to his body, and becomes its bearer again. Marcus, the centurion says, voice sanded by years. Today we march light. The ground will thieve a man's strength. Marcus nods. A boy thin too new for the grime to stick, fumbles with his belt. Marcus kneels, sets the buckle true, and for a heartbeat the camp is a courtyard in Rome. A small hand in his as a child, laughs at pigeons scattering like torn parchment. Then the memory shuts like a visor. Wind slides through the standard's fringe. A faint warmth grazes his cheek. The sun lifts, and with it the trumpet rises. The cornice's chest swells, the metal mouth touches his own. Sound erupts. It is not music. It is command, a silver spine running through the camp. Men snap into shape. Fires collapse under boot. Shadows flee into ditches. The call says, gather, shoulder, breathe together, become one. Marcus steps into the river of bodies, and lets it carry him toward the gate. He tastes iron and dust, the sacrament of soldiers. The earth is scarred by thousands of feet that have come and gone. The path is a wound that never quite heals. Old Wolf, the standard bearer murmurs, offering a half smile. Hungry? For quiet, Marcus replies. Then eat fast. They pass between sharpened stakes, leaving the skeleton of the camp to wait for their return or their ghosts. The countryside opens like a book too often read. Hills under a threadbare sky, a narrow track stitched with cart ruts, the horizon a lid that will close, someday over all of them. The second trumpet call washes over the column forward. Shields clap, spears lean, sandals bite the road. With each step his joints count, an abacus of years. 1, 2, 3. How many left? He does not fear the number. He fears the silence that follows it. Somewhere a lark dares the morning with its bright, foolish heart. Marcus lifts his eyes. The sun is already descending in his mind, even as it climbs. He squares his shoulders, sets his breath, and marches to meet it. The sun has climbed higher, burning mist from the valleys when Marcus feels the weight of his second skin, the armor. Every buckle cinched, every hinge groaning against its pins. It is not protection today, but a confession. Each dent whispers of strikes survived, each scar in the metal another notch of fate postponed. His shoulders ache before the march has even begun. As the column snakes along the road, Marcus finds himself listening, not to birds, not to the river that trickles nearby, but to the clink and drag of iron on flesh. The younger soldiers joke to one another, careless of the noise, but their laughter has a hollow edge. They have not yet learned that laughter is heaviest when carried into war. He shifts the scutum on his shoulder, red paint flaking under his grip. The centurion glances back at him. No words are needed. The older men wear the same grim silence. Armor has taught them that it is more coffin than shield. Ahead, Titus stumbles beneath his pack. Marcus steadies him with a hand, feeling the boy's bones under the weight of leather and bronze. Stand straighter, he murmurs. Armor only grows heavier if you let it bend you. Titus nods, jaw clenched, but his steps still falter. The road narrows through a stand of oaks. Spears tilt to avoid branches, shields knock bark loose, the standard's fringe catches in the wind. Marcus feels the sweat between skin and iron, a trickle winding down his ribs. He imagines the armor sighing, alive, dragging him deeper into the earth with every mile. Vero the signifer grins. When this is done, I'll melt mine into a cup, drink wine from it until the gods call me. Then drink fast, Marcus replies. Yet part of him envies the dream. His armor will not be melted, it will be buried, sealed in dirt, as though the empire itself were too ashamed to reclaim it. By midday, the road opens onto a ridge. The view stretches across farmland scarred by war, burnt huts, abandoned fields, distant smoke where once children played. Marcus gazes, and his armor feels like chains, not forged of iron, but of memory. He wonders if a man can ever truly remove it, or if it clings even in death. The trumpet calls again, halt. The legion settles, armor ringing as they lower shields and lean on spears. The sound is like 100 anvils struck at once. For Marcus, it is the music of burden, of men turned into monuments by what they carry. He lowers himself to a stone, back pressed to the armor that presses back. The boy Titus collapses beside him, chest heaving. Does it get easier? Titus asks. Marcus looks at the boy, then at the sun hanging like a coin above the ridge. He does not lie. No. You only grow used to the weight, and as the wind scours the ridge, Marcus knows the truth. The armor is not his to wear, it is his to endure. The march slows as the sun drags itself westward. The ridge has given way to a valley, thick with thorn and shadow. The soldiers stop to drink at a sluggish stream, their helmets dipped like troughs. Marcus kneels by the water, letting the cold bite his hands before he cups it to his lips. He tastes earth, iron, and something bitter. When he straightens, his pack shifts oddly. He frowns, loosens the straps, and pulls it forward. Between rations of grain and a coil of cord lies a folded scrap, browned at the edges, hidden too long. For a moment, the world narrows to that piece of parchment. His breath catches as if an enemy spear has pierced him. The seal is broken, its wax smudged. He remembers the day it was pressed into his hand, hurriedly, just before a march months ago. He had stuffed it deep, meaning to read it later, but later never came. The empire never leaves a man enough time for later. With fingers that tremble more than they should, Marcus unfolds it. The ink is blurred, where water, or tears, once stained it. Words bloom from the faded strokes. Marcus, my son, the olives are ripe, and your sister's child has taken her first steps. She laughs as though the gods have poured sunlight into her lungs. Come home when you can, for each day, the fields wait, and I wait with them. He stops. The page ripples in his hands. The letter is not long, but each word is heavier than armor. He reads it again, slower, as though tasting the air of home. The sound of laughter pulls him back. Titus splashes water at another recruit. For a moment they are not soldiers, but boys at a stream. Varro watches them with an indulgent smile, but Marcus sees the shadow behind his eyes. They all know such moments are fragile, as eggshells. Marcus folds the letter carefully, presses it against his chest. He does not weep. Roman soldiers are not given that luxury, but he feels the letter burn through armor into flesh, a fire of memory and longing. "Old wolf," Varro calls. "You find treasure in that pack." Marcus shakes his head, tucking the letter deep again. "Only wait." The trumpet slices the air. Time to move. Men gather shields, lift packs, shake water from their boots. Marcus tightens his straps, the paper pressed against his heart. Every step forward is a step away from what the letter promised. The column climbs another hill. Behind him, Titus pants, armor rattling. Marcus slows just enough to let the boy match pace. He tells himself it is duty, but he knows it is something closer to love. The same love folded in that forgotten scrap of parchment. Above them, clouds gather, gray as old parchment. The horizon dims. The letter has reminded Marcus of something cruel and simple. The world he longs for may no longer wait for him. The column halts at the edge of a shallow ridge as the day grows heavy. Camp is not yet ordered, but men drop into the grass to loosen straps, unburden themselves of the iron that has pressed against their skin all day. Marcus sets down his shield and sits with his back to it, savoring the brief relief. The silence between soldiers is never empty. It hums with shared memory. The faces around him blur into echoes of others, comrades who marched these roads years before and did not return. In each scar, each glance, Marcus sees ghosts of the dead still walking beside the living. Varro lowers the standard into the soil, the gilded hand catching the last glow of the sun. "It's the same every time," he mutters, kneeling beside Marcus. "Different valley, different hill, same smell of sweat and fear." Marcus answers with a faint nod. They had fought together for 15 years, through mud, frost and deserts where the sand swallowed screams. There had been nights when firelight danced on Varro's wolf pelt, and Marcus had thought, "We will not survive dawn." Yet dawn always came, and they were still there, until one day, others weren't. A memory stirs. Aulus, their friend, a centurion cut down in Germania. His laugh had been thunder, his courage reckless. Marcus remembers holding him as the blood poured, Aulus whispering for his wife's name. He had died in Marcus's arms, eyes searching a sky that offered no mercy. The young Titus joins them, collapsing with a grunt. "Is it always like this?" he pants, his boyish face drawn tight with exhaustion. "No," Marcus says quietly. "Sometimes it's worse." Varro chuckles, though the sound is rough. "Don't let him frighten you, pup. The worst parts pass. The best parts." He trails off, gaze distant, thinking of comrades lost. "The best parts are the men beside you." A hush settles. The recruits nearby hum a soldier's tune under their breath, low and rough. It is the kind of melody that binds men together, not with joy but with endurance. Marcus listens, feeling the past slip into the present. He remembers voices that no longer sing, and he realizes that every song is a bridge between the living and the dead. As the evening trumpet signals the order to build camp, Marcus rises slowly, his knees stiff. He claps Titus on the shoulder. "Steady and firm. Stand tall. These men are your brothers now. Never forget that." The boy nods, wide-eyed, his gaze flicking between Marcus and Varro. In his silence, Marcus sees a boy already shaped by the weight of belonging. When darkness falls and fires crackle, Marcus lies beneath the stars. The laughter of comrades drifts across the camp, mingling with whispers of those long gone. In the soldier's world, the living and the dead are never far apart. Tonight, they all share the same fire. The morning mist curls around the hills as the legion moves again. The air is heavy, damp, muffling the sound of boots against the road. But Marcus feels it before he sees it. The presence of eyes watching from the tree line. The forest breathes differently when men hide inside it. Centurion Gaius raises his hand. The column halts. Silence sharpens. Even the birds withhold their song. Marcus lowers his scutum, senses prickling. Across the low ground, the shadows seem to shift. Scouts, Varro mutters. His grip tightens on the standard. A branch snaps in the distance, too deliberate to be chance. Then, from between the trees, a figure appears, not one of theirs. Painted skin, crude armor of leather and fur, hair wild, a tribal warrior, spear balanced lightly, as though it were a part of his body. He is no boy, no reckless fool. His stance tells Marcus he has killed before. Behind him more shapes drift into sight, pale paint gleaming on foreheads and chests. An enemy warband, not large, but enough to taste blood before noon. Titus stiffens beside Marcus. The boy's knuckles whiten on his shield. Marcus rests a steadying hand on his arm. Breathe, he whispers. Fear is heavier than iron. The two sides stare across the clearing. Time lengthens, the mist wrapping them in a gray cocoon. Marcus studies the enemy. He does not see monsters. Only men. Men who wake to the same sun, who bleed the same red, who fight because someone told them to, or because home lies behind them. One of the tribesmen spits on the ground and raises his spear in a silent challenge. The legion responds by lifting shields in unison, iron slamming like thunder. The sound echoes through the trees, scattering crows. The standoff lasts minutes, though it feels like hours. Marcus locks eyes with one of them, a tall warrior with scars across his face. Their gazes hold. In that moment, Marcus feels the truth sting. This man is no enemy by choice. He is simply the shadow cast by Marcus's own existence. Finally, the tribesmen melt back into the trees, leaving only the echo of their presence. No clash, no blood, just the promise of it later. The legion exhales as one, tension spilling into the damp air. Titus looks at Marcus. Why didn't they attack? Marcus's face hardens. Because they wanted us to know they were there. Sometimes the shadow is sharper than the blade. The trumpet calls forward again, and the march resumes. But Marcus walks with the weight of new eyes on his back. He knows this was not an end, only a beginning. Somewhere in the trees, those men are waiting, and their shadow now walks beside him, unseen but constant. The march presses into late afternoon, and the valley narrows into a pass. Jagged rocks loom on either side, casting long, ominous shadows. The trumpet sounds the warning rhythm, shields up, formation tight. Marcus feels the tension ripple through the column, a current pulling every man into the same heartbeat. They do not wait long. Stones clatter from above, shouts echo, and suddenly the enemy descends, tribesmen rushing from the ridges with spears and axes. The Roman line braces, shields locking in a wall of iron. Arrows hiss through the air, clanging off helmets, biting into wood. Marcus raises his shield, the impact jarring his arm. Titus stumbles beside him, nearly unseated by the shock of a spear thrust. Marcus shoves him back into formation with a growled order. Hold. At the center of the line, Varro plants the standard high, the gilded hand gleaming defiantly in the failing light. It is the symbol of the cohort, the soul of the legion. Men fight harder when it rises, fight longer when they see it unshaken. The clash is brutal, raw. Marcus swings his gladius, short and sharp, driving a tribesman back into the dust. He feels the impact of bodies, the roar of voices, the press of men who will not yield. All around him, the air shudders with violence. Then it happens. A cry rises, not from the enemy, but from within. Marcus looks over just in time to see a spear catch Varro across the shoulder. The signifer staggers. The wolf pelt slips sideways, blood soaking into its gray fur. His grip falters, and for a heartbeat, the standard wavers. The sight cuts deeper than any blade. The banner, the hand of Rome itself, dips toward the earth. A cry of despair ripples through the ranks, as though the empire itself were crumbling. Marcus lunges forward, slashing down a tribesman that pressed toward Varro. He shouts over the chaos, voice hoarse, "Stand, hold the line." But the men's eyes are fixed on the falling banner. Their breaths hitch, their strikes falter. Varro collapses to one knee, teeth clenched, still fighting to keep the standard upright. Marcus braces his shoulder beneath the pole, forcing it back toward the sky. The weight is immense, more than wood and bronze. It is the weight of every life in the Legion. Up, Marcus roars, straining, his back burning. Rome does not fall here. The men rally, voices rising with him, shields clashing louder, blades driving harder. The tide steadies. The enemy recoils, surprised by the sudden surge. But Marcus knows the truth. For all their defiance, the standard has already fallen once. Even raised again, it is no longer untouched. Something has cracked, not in the bronze, but in the hearts of the men. When the last tribesman flees into the hills, the pass lies littered with bodies. Varro lies pale, clutching his wound, the banner trembling in his grasp. Marcus kneels beside him, hand pressed to blood, eyes grim. The banner rises again, but the sight of it faltering will haunt them all. The pass is behind them, but the wounds of it travel with them. The column trudges on, slower now, armor dragging heavier with each step. The banner rises again, though its fabric is torn and stained, the gilded hand darkened by blood. Every soldier who glances at it remembers the moment it dipped. Marcus feels the ache deep in his bones, a rhythm that no trumpet commands. He marches beside Titus, whose face is pale, but set with stubborn resolve. The boy has not spoken since the battle. Silence is safer than words when the memory of near death still clings like smoke. By evening, they reach a plateau overlooking farmland. Or what was farmland? The fields lie broken, huts collapsed, vineyards scorched. Yet amidst the ruin, Marcus's eye catches something strange. At the far edge of the valley, untouched by fire, a grove of olive trees sways gently in the wind. The sight strikes him like a spear through the chest. Olives, the word itself tastes of salt and sun. His father's grove had smelled of earth after rain, the trunks twisted with age, leaves shimmering silver in the breeze. He remembers chasing his sister through the rows, her laughter ringing like bells. He remembers his mother pressing olives in the stone press, her hands strong though lined with age. The letter, the one he had found only yesterday, still burns against his chest. He hears the words again. The olives are ripe. Your sister's child has taken her first steps. I wait with the fields. His throat tightens. For a moment the battlefield dissolves, and he stands barefoot in that grove, cicadas singing, the air thick with summer. Titus follows his gaze. What do you see? Marcus blinks, swallows, and answers simply, home. The boy frowns at the ruined huts, the charred vines. It doesn't look like home to me. Not here, Marcus replies, voice low, but what it reminds me of. He does not say more. How can he explain that war does not just steal lives, but twists memories into wounds that never heal? As camp is raised on the plateau, fires crackle and soldiers share bread broken roughly in their hands. Marcus sits apart, watching the olive grove in the distance. The sun dips lower, staining the sky with amber and crimson. For the first time in days his chest eases. For the first time, he allows himself to imagine that beyond this campaign, beyond the shadow of war, there might be one last walk through his family's grove. But the wind shifts, carrying with it a faint smell of smoke and ash. The vision trembles, fragile. He knows better than to trust it. The Empire rarely returns what it takes. Still he closes his eyes and clings to the glimpse of home, as though it were a shield stronger than iron. Morning comes hard, brittle as old bone. The camp stirs to the trumpet's call, but the sound carries a different weight today. The soldiers rise slower, their movements dragging, the memory of ambush still lodged in their shoulders. Even the fires seem reluctant to burn. Marcus stands, joints stiff, armor biting into bruised flesh. The olive grove is gone from sight, hidden beyond the ridge. Dust hangs in the air, kicked up by sandals, settling into throats. It coats the tongue, turning every swallow into a grind of grit. The taste becomes the day's first enemy, bitter and unrelenting. As the march resumes, the heat presses down like a mailed fist. The road twists through barren ground, where fields once grew, ash and dust cling to everything. Shields, cloaks, eyelashes. The men cough, spit, curse, but there is no escaping it. Titus lags, his face drawn tight, lips cracked. Marcus offers him a skin of water. The boy drinks too fast, coughing, spilling half. Marcus steadies him with a hand on his shoulder. Slow, dust steals breath, if you let it. The column drags on. Every step feels longer than the last. The dust fills lungs, muffles words, chokes songs. No man speaks for miles. The silence is not discipline, it is survival. The road climbs another ridge. From its crest Marcus sees a village below, or what remains of one. Roofs collapsed, walls blackened. The wind stirs ash into small storms that dance like wraiths between broken beams. A dog, thin as shadow, limps through the ruins. Its ribs show like cage bars. The recruits whisper among themselves, voices rough. Barbarians, Romans. Marcus answers without looking. Does it matter? Dust buries all the same. Varro, shoulder still bound, plants the standard high as they pass the village. Its shadow stretches long across the dead earth, a fragile defiance against the emptiness. But even the banner cannot change what the soldiers feel. The creeping certainty that war eats not just men, but land itself. By midday, the sun is merciless. Marcus wipes grime from his eyes, only to smear more across his skin. He remembers Rome's fountains, clear and cool, the way water once sang down marble. The memory tastes sharper than the dust in his throat. Titus stumbles again. This time Marcus grips his arm hard. Breathe. Stand. The boy obeys, though his face is streaked with sweat and despair. Marcus recognizes the look. He wore it once, years ago, in another land of ash. At last, the trumpet signals rest. The soldiers collapse where they stand. Shields set down, cloaks drawn over heads. Dust swirls around them still, refusing to release its grip. Marcus lies back, staring at the empty sky. The dust clings even here, scratching his throat, settling into every breath. He realizes with grim clarity, it is not just dust, it is the empire itself, grinding men down, swallowing all in silence, leaving nothing but grit between teeth. The night settles heavy upon the plateau, thicker than the dust of the day. Fires flicker weakly, their light swallowed by the vast dark sky. The men murmur, sharing bread and silence, sharpening blades not because they expect rest, but because the ritual itself is comfort. Marcus sits apart, his shield propped against a stone, the letter once more in his hand. He unfolds it slowly, as though it were parchment made of bone, fragile and irreplaceable. The ink is faint, but one line burns brighter than the rest. I wait with the fields. The words bring her voice back to him, his mother's voice, low, steady, carrying the scent of olives and bread. It is not a memory that drifts like smoke, but one that strikes clean, like the edge of a gladius. He hears her calling him in childhood, his name spoken with gentle authority. He sees her standing at the press, hands stained with oil, eyes full of a love Rome never taught him to understand. He remembers the night he left, her fingers gripping his cheek, her lips pressing against his brow. Return when the olives ripen, Marcus. No matter the season, return. The ache in his chest is sharper than any wound. He has fought battles across continents, but none strike as deep as this memory. The voice of his mother is not distant. It is beside him now, whispering through the crackle of the fire. Titus approaches, hesitant. The boy holds half a loaf of bread, offering it. Marcus accepts, breaking it with care. They eat in silence for a time, the only sound the grind of crust between teeth. Do you ever think of home? Titus asks finally, voice tentative, eyes wide with something that is more than hunger. Every day, Marcus answers. His tone is steady, but his hand clenches the letter beneath his cloak. I try to remember my mother's voice, Titus admits, but it fades. Sometimes I can't hear it anymore. Marcus studies the boy, then looks back at the fire. The flames bend, flicker, twist into shapes that remind him of her face. A mother's voice never leaves, he says quietly. It lives here. He taps his chest. Even when you can't hear it, it holds you upright. Titus nods, though his eyes glisten. He leans closer to the fire, perhaps listening for a whisper in the crackle of burning wood. Marcus wonders if the boy's mother prays for him tonight, if somewhere beyond the horizon another voice calls, waiting to be heard. The trumpet sounds the night watch change. Soldiers shift, some rising, some lying down. The stars above are cold and unblinking, but Marcus feels warmth lingering within him. His mother's voice has crossed oceans of silence to find him again, if only for a breath. He lies down, cloak wrapped close, the letter pressed against his chest. Sleep comes slowly, but when it does, it carries her voice, soft and unyielding, into his dreams. Dawn rises red, as though the sky itself bleeds. The valley echoes with the long, drawn-out cry of the trumpet, sharper than it has been in days. This is not the call of marching, it is the call of battle. Marcus tightens his armor with steady hands. Around him, men prepare with the silence of executioners. No laughter, no banter, just the scrape of metal, the clatter of shields, the murmured prayers to gods who seldom answer. Titus fumbles with his straps again, but this time Marcus does not fix them for him. The boy must learn to stand alone. On the ridge, enemy banners appear, faded cloth, bones strung on ropes, crude symbols painted in blood. The warband pours into view, voices raised in a guttural chant. The sound makes the earth tremble. Form the wall, Centurion Gaius bellows. Shields slam together. The Roman line solidifies, a living wall of iron. Marcus sets his scutum firm, Gladius ready at his side. His heart pounds not with fear, but with the grim rhythm of inevitability. This is what a soldier is shaped for. The clash. The first wave of tribesmen charges. Howling, they crash against the shield wall, spears and axes slamming, bodies colliding. The impact shudders through Marcus's arm. He pushes back, thrusts his gladius short and sharp into the press of flesh. The blade finds a gap, warm blood surging. The man falls swallowed by the chaos. Titus beside him staggers under the weight of a blow. Marcus shoves his shield into place, covering the boy's flank. Strike low, he shouts. The boy obeys, jabbing awkwardly, but drawing his first blood. His eyes widen, shocked by the ease of it, and the horror. All around, the clash is deafening. Iron on iron, wood splintering, men screaming. Varro raises the standard high, even as his wound darkens his tunic again. His wolf pelt streams in the wind, like the ghost of something ancient and wild. The men rally to it, voices hoarse, pushing back. Marcus fights as though possessed. Every thrust is measured, every strike born of long habit. He does not seek glory. He seeks survival for himself, for the boy at his side, for the line that must not break. The tribesmen fall in heaps, but still they come. Marcus locks eyes with one through the clash, a scarred warrior swinging a crude axe. Their weapons meet with a crack, sparks flying. For a heartbeat, it is just the two of them, two men bound by fate, neither truly enemy, both unwilling to yield. Marcus drives forward, teeth clenched, until the man collapses, his chant silenced. The trumpet blares again. Advance. The wall surges forward, step by step, shields locking, gladius stabbing. The tribesmen falter, their chant breaking, their line collapsing. Marcus pushes with the rest, breath ragged, vision narrowing to the tunnel of fight and survival. When at last the enemy scatters into the hills, the valley falls into a heavy silence. The ground is carpeted with bodies, Roman and barbarian alike. The air stinks of blood and iron. Marcus leans on his shield, chest heaving. Titus is beside him, trembling, gladius dripping. The boy's eyes meet his, wide and unsteady. Marcus nods once, not in triumph, but in grim recognition. This was his first true battle, and it will not be his last. The valley lies behind them, but its echoes follow like ghosts. Blood has dried on armor, dust clings to wounds, and the silence between men is heavy with what they've seen. Yet Marcus feels another weight, the eyes of the boy. Titus marches close, gaze fixed on him more than on the path. Every movement Marcus makes, the shift of his shield, the grip on his sword, the rhythm of his stride, the boy studies it like scripture. At first, Marcus ignores it. He has seen recruits cling to veterans before, but as the day stretches on, the gaze becomes harder to bear. It is not only admiration, it is need. It is the unspoken plea of a boy who survived his first clash, and now looks for someone to show him how to live with it. During the rest halt, Titus finally speaks. How do you stop seeing their faces? His voice is hoarse, words trembling. Marcus doesn't answer at once. He takes a drink, lets the silence linger. You don't, he says at last. You learn to carry them. Some nights they whisper louder than others, but they never leave. Titus swallows, eyes down. Then how do you sleep? Marcus looks at the boy, so young, with fear still clinging like shadow. He remembers when he asked the same question, years ago. You don't sleep easy, but you close your eyes anyway, and when the dawn comes, you rise. That's the only answer. The boy nods, though tears shine unshed in his eyes. Marcus sees himself in him, a younger reflection, scarless and trembling. The sight carves at him. That night, as fires burn low, Titus sits close beside Marcus, shield resting against his knees. He doesn't speak, doesn't ask again. He only watches. Marcus pretends not to notice, but in truth, he feels the boy's gaze more than the heat of the fire. He realizes then, it is not the enemy's eyes he fears most. It is the eyes of the young, those who look to him for answers he no longer believes exist. Morning mist clings to the ground as the legion marches again. The air smells of rust and smoke. Marcus senses the next fight before it begins. The earth always grows quiet before blood. They do not wait long. From the tree line, arrows whistle. Shields rise, but not fast enough. Screams cut through the column. The enemy surges, spears flashing. Marcus braces in the shield wall, Titus at his side. The clash is brutal. Blades strike shields, bodies slam together, dust churns beneath stamping feet. Marcus fights with calm precision, cutting low, pushing forward. Then it happens. A spear slips past his shield, grazing his ribs. For a heartbeat, he doesn't feel it, only the shock of impact. Then fire blooms along his side, sharp and hot. He grits his teeth, shoving forward to hold the line. Blood runs beneath his armor, soaking his tunic. Titus sees it. His eyes widen, panic threatening to break him. Marcus, stand firm. Marcus snarls, voice a whip. The line holds. The boy obeys, trembling but resolute. Marcus keeps fighting, every breath burning. He knows the wound is not mortal, but it is a reminder. Even the strongest can bleed. Even he is not unbreakable. The enemy falters and retreats. The trumpet calls victory, but Marcus stumbles back, leaning against his shield. Titus grips his arm, steadying him. You're hurt, the boy whispers. Marcus looks at him, sweat and blood running together on his face. Then I fight hurt. That's what soldiers do. The line of men watches, some in awe, some in fear. For Marcus, there is no glory, only the bitter taste of vulnerability. The first wound is not always the one that kills, but it always changes everything. The day bleeds into evening. After the clash, the legion rests on a scarred field. Marcus's wound is bound with rough cloth, though blood still seeps. He endures it with clenched teeth, unwilling to show weakness. As the sun sinks, the sky ignites, red and violent, streaked with crimson clouds. The men murmur uneasily. To Romans, omens are no small thing. A red sky is a warning, a curse, a reminder that the gods watch with cold amusement. Marcus sits apart, shield propped, eyes fixed on the horizon. The sky mirrors the blood on his bandages. He feels its weight like prophecy. Titus sits beside him, silent, his face turned upward. Is it a sign? The boy asks at last. Marcus exhales slowly. Every sky is a sign if you choose to see one. The question is, will you let it rule you? Titus frowns. And you? Marcus's gaze hardens. I fight whether the sky is red or black. The gods have watched me long enough to know I don't wait for their mercy. The boy studies him, drawing strength from his defiance. But Marcus feels the unease creep beneath his armor. He remembers old campaigns, comrades whispering before dawn, men breaking beneath superstition. He knows the danger of fear disguised as faith. The soldiers gather, sharing meager food, their eyes flicking often to the horizon. Varro, pale and weak from his wound, raises the standard even here, planting it against the earth, as though to challenge the heavens themselves. The sky deepens, crimson spilling into purple, then into shadow. The fires of camp flicker uncertainly beneath it, tiny and fragile compared to the vast burning sky. Marcus grips his sword, feeling the steel cold and real in his hand. Gods or not, omens or not, iron decides more than stars. As night falls, the last light dies like blood cooling. Marcus lies back, staring into darkness, his body heavy, his wound throbbing. But what lingers most is not the pain, nor the silence of men. It is the color of the sky, red, vast, eternal. He wonders if it was painted for them, or for him alone. The march carries them into another valley, and with it comes another ambush. The tribes have grown bolder, their shouts louder, their strikes more desperate. By now the soldiers no longer flinch at the first arrow. They brace, they lower shields, they accept the inevitable storm. Marcus fights as he always has, steady, unyielding, striking with brutal efficiency. Beside him, an older comrade named Septimus holds the line. Septimus, broad, scarred, his laughter once enough to lift weary hearts. They had campaigned together for years, shared bread, shared silence, shared the burden of memory. The clash is thick with dust and screams. Marcus thrusts his gladius into the press, withdrawing it red. Septimus blocks a spear, counters with a heavy blow. For a moment, they move in rhythm, like two halves of the same shield. Then the rhythm breaks. A spear slips past Septimus's guard. It drives into his side, deep. His cry rips the air. Marcus shoves forward, hacking the attacker down. But when he turns, Septimus is already sinking. Blood floods from beneath his armor. His breath rattles like wind through broken reeds. Marcus, his voice is faint, barely audible over the chaos. Marcus kneels, presses a hand to the wound, but the blood seeps through his fingers, hot and unrelenting. Hold, brother, stay with me. Septimus's eyes, once bright with mischief, are clouded now. Tell them I fought well. His lips twitch into something like a smile. Then his chest falls still. The world narrows for Marcus. The clash fades. For a heartbeat, all he sees is the stillness of his friend's eyes. A silence louder than war itself presses into him. Titus's voice cuts through. Marcus, the line. Marcus rises, rage and grief fusing into one. He fights with ferocity, each strike a denial, each breath a curse against the gods. The line holds, the tribes break, the trumpet calls victory again. But when the field is theirs, Marcus kneels once more beside Septimus. Dust clings to his blood, his features frozen in that final almost smile. Marcus closes his eyes with a trembling hand. Another brother gone, another name to carry in silence. The morning after Septimus's death, the camp is silent. No songs, no laughter. Even the recruits feel the absence. War teaches fast, and the lesson is cruel. No one is untouchable. Centurion Gaius summons Marcus. They walk the camp's edge, dew still clinging to grass. Gaius's face is grave. You have their eyes now, Gaius says, gesturing toward the men. They look to you as they once looked to Septimus. Whether you want it or not, you carry that weight. Marcus stiffens. I am no centurion. No, Gaius agrees. But sometimes command chooses men, not rank. The words sit heavy. Marcus returns to the fire, and sure enough, Titus and others glance at him as though expecting something. A word, a gesture, reassurance that the earth still holds beneath their feet. That evening, the legion faces another skirmish. Marcus feels their eyes on him even before the trumpet sounds. He fights not only for survival now, but to hold their courage together. Every command he shouts, every strike he makes, becomes more than his own. It belongs to them, but the weight is crushing. When a soldier falters, Marcus drags him back. When fear spreads, he steadies it. Each action is another stone on his shoulders. He remembers Septimus's laugh, the ease with which he bore this burden. Marcus cannot laugh. He only endures. When the skirmish ends, victory won at high cost, Marcus stands amidst the men. Their cheers are thin, broken by grief. Yet their eyes seek him, and he nods once, firm. It is enough. Later Titus approaches, voice low, "You carry us now." Marcus does not reply. He stares into the fire, the weight of command pressing deeper than any wound. The standard is the soul of the legion. As long as it stands, Rome stands. That is what Marcus has always believed. But the gods are cruel in their lessons. The next battle erupts in chaos, harsher than any before. Arrows rain. The ground shakes with the fury of charging tribes. Varro, weakened by his old wound, struggles to keep the banner aloft. His grip falters. The sight is unbearable. Marcus fights his way toward him, cutting down enemies, shouting until his throat tears. But he is too far. An axe slams against Varro's arm. The signifer collapses, the banner slipping from his grasp, crashing into the dust. The world seems to stop. The standard, the hand of Rome, lying in the dirt. Soldiers cry out. Some falter, shields sagging. Fear spreads faster than fire. Marcus roars, voice roar. He drives forward, kills 2 tribesmen in his path, seizes the banner before it can be trampled. The wood burns against his palm, heavier than stone. With a roar, he thrusts it skyward. Rome does not fall. The men rally at once, voices surging, blades slamming. The line reforms. They drive the enemy back with ferocity born, not of discipline, but of sheer desperation. But the truth cannot be undone. Even as they win, Marcus knows something has broken. The standard has fallen, even raised again. It carries the stain of dust, of failure, of fragility. When the battle ends, Varro lies pale, blood soaking the earth. He grips Marcus's arm weakly. "Keep it high. Promise me." Marcus clasps his hand, jaw clenched. "I swear." The promise is a chain. The banner is no longer just wood and bronze. It is a burden tied to his very soul, and Marcus knows he must carry it until the end. The battle still clings to the men like smoke when another raid erupts, smaller but savage. The shield wall buckles, blades flash, voices howl. Marcus fights with weary rage, each thrust of his gladius tearing through flesh and dust. In the chaos, a tribesman lunges at him, taller, younger, eyes blazing with feral fury. Their blades meet with a crack, their bodies straining in the press. Marcus twists, cuts across the man's arm. Blood sprays. The warrior stumbles, vulnerable. Instinct screams to finish him. The kill is open. One strike, and Marcus survives another day. He raises his gladius, but then he sees it, the man's eyes. They are not the eyes of an enemy. They are the eyes of a boy, no older than Titus, wide with pain and fear. Behind the fury, Marcus sees the same terror that once lived in him. The moment stretches, the cries of war fade. He remembers Titus's trembling hand, Septimus's dying breath, his mother's voice. He cannot strike. The warrior staggers back, clutching his wound, gaze locked on Marcus with confusion. Then, instead of countering, he lowers his weapon, backs into the shadows and vanishes. The clash ends. The tribes scatter. The Romans hold the ground. But Marcus remains rooted, his sword still raised, unmoving. Titus approaches, breath ragged. "Why didn't you kill him?" Marcus lowers the blade slowly. His voice is rough. "Because not every fight needs another ghost." The boy stares at him, confused, perhaps disappointed. But Marcus does not explain further. Some truths are too heavy for words. He feels the burden of what he spared, and wonders if mercy is strength or weakness. Night falls heavy. The battlefield is cleared, but the silence of the dead lingers louder than any trumpet. The men huddle by their fires, their voices hushed, their eyes haunted. Marcus cannot sleep. His ribs throb. His mind replays the faces of the fallen and the spared. At last he rises, leaving the warmth of the camp. He walks toward the sound of water, soft and constant. A river snakes through the valley, its surface silver under moonlight. Marcus kneels by its edge, dipping his hands into the flow. The water is cold, clean, untainted by dust. He drinks, letting it wash his throat, his chest, as though it could cleanse more than his body. The river whispers to him, not with words, but with silence. It asks nothing, demands nothing. It carries the blood of battles downstream, away to places where no soldier's name matters. Marcus feels himself small, a stone in the vast current of time. He thinks of Rome, its walls, its markets, its endless hunger for conquest. Compared to the river, Rome feels fragile. What empire can last when even stone erodes to silt? Titus finds him there, hesitant. Why sit alone? Marcus gazes into the water, because sometimes silence speaks louder than men. The boy sits beside him, eyes wide. They do not speak again. The river carries their thoughts away, leaving only the sound of its endless journey. For a moment, Marcus almost believes in peace. Sleep finally comes, but not gently. Marcus dreams. He is young again, armor gleaming, banners snapping in the sun. Trumpets roar, and the legion surges forward across golden fields. The clash is clean, swift, glorious. Enemies fall in neat rows, their cries distant, muted. No wounds sting, no brothers die. He hears Septimus laughing, alive and unbroken. Wolf-pelt Varro marching beside him, strong and unwounded. Even Titus is there, older, smiling with pride. Victory is endless, each battle flowing into triumph, each march ending in cheers and garlands. Rome's gates rise before him, marble and gold. Crowds cheer, flowers fall from balconies, children run beside the soldiers. His mother waits at the forum, arms wide, her voice strong. Welcome home, my son. Marcus steps forward, heart swelling, but the vision flickers. Blood seeps through marble cracks. The cheers twist into screams. Septimus collapses again. Varro staggers. Titus pales. His mother's face fades into dust. The banners burn. The trumpet becomes a shriek. Victory dissolves into nightmare. Marcus wakes with a start, drenched in sweat, breath ragged. Around him, the camp is quiet. The fire's low. Titus stirs nearby, eyes half open, sensing his torment. Bad dreams, the boy whispers. Marcus wipes his face with a trembling hand. Only victories. The boy frowns, not understanding. Marcus does not explain. He stares into the dying embers, knowing the cruelest dream is not of defeat, but of victory that never truly existed. The march winds through a desolate village, long abandoned. Roofs sag, walls crumble, and weeds choke the stones. Yet in the center stands a small temple, its columns cracked but upright, its bronze bells still hanging though green with age. As the soldiers pass, the wind stirs, and the bells toll faintly. The sound is soft, mournful, but in the silence of ruin, it feels like thunder. The men flinch. Some mutter prayers, others spit to ward off bad luck. Marcus halts, listening. The chime awakens something inside him, not faith, but memory. He recalls the temples of Rome, incense rising, priests chanting words that felt as old as stone. He had not entered one in years. War leaves little room for gods, except the gods of iron and blood. Titus stands beside him, eyes wide. What do they mean? Marcus exhales slowly. They mean someone once prayed here, and perhaps someone still listens. The boy looks at him, hopeful. Marcus cannot give him hope. He only hears the bells echoing loss, not salvation. That night, as the men camp beyond the village, Marcus dreams again of the bells. They toll not for Rome, not for gods, but for every soldier who has fallen. Each chime is a name, each name is another weight. He wakes with the sound still in his ears, a reminder there is no temple left untouched by war. Battle returns swiftly. as it always does. The enemy ambushes at dawn, charging from the tree line with wild cries. The Romans brace, shields clashing together, steel flashing in the pale light. Marcus thrusts his gladius into the press, each strike deliberate. He has fought like this for decades. His sword has become more than a weapon. It is an extension of his will. But then, in the crush of bodies, the impossible happens. He parries a heavy axe swing, and with a shriek of metal, his blade shatters. The gladius snaps near the hilt, leaving only a jagged stump in his hand. For a heartbeat, Marcus stares in disbelief. The sword that has carried him through a lifetime lies broken at his feet. The enemy lunges again. He raises his shield desperately, shoving back. Titus sees him falter and leaps forward, thrusting his own gladius into the attacker's chest. Marcus regains his footing, but the shock remains. After the fight, the men whisper, "A broken sword is more than bad luck." It is a sign. Marcus feels it too. Without his blade, he is exposed, vulnerable. He retrieves the shattered steel from the dirt, holding it as though it were a fallen comrade. For the first time, he feels not like a weapon of Rome, but a man nearing his end. The road stretches on, endless. The clash of steel fades, replaced once more by the grind of sandals in dust. But the march is slower now, each step heavier. The men are exhausted, their ranks thinner than before. The standard still rises, but it sways more often. Marcus walks with the broken gladius strapped to his belt. A new blade has been given to him, but it feels foreign, untrustworthy. The weight of the shattered steel remains heavier than any weapon. His wound festers, pain deepening with each stride. He hides it, but Titus sees. The boy offers his arm once, trying to steady him. Marcus refuses. Walk tall. Rome does not limp, but his pace betrays him. The land offers no mercy. Hills stretch higher. The sun burns harder. The dust grinds into throats, until silence becomes the only language. The men stumble more often, break formation to lean on their shields. Gaius barks orders, voice hoarse, but even discipline cracks under exhaustion. At midday, Marcus halts on a ridge, chest heaving. The horizon blurs in heat haze. He feels the pull of gravity, as though the earth itself wants him back. For a moment, he wonders if he should let it. But Titus is there, eyes wide, waiting. Marcus clenches his jaw, takes another step. The march continues, slower than ever. Each man carries not only his pack, but the weight of all who have fallen. Marcus feels every name pressing on his shoulders, every loss carved into his stride. The trumpet calls again, forward, always forward, but the sound is weaker now, like a breath fading. The march halts on a barren ridge as noon burns the sky. The sun hangs above them like a coin of fire, relentless, merciless. Its light does not warm, it scalds, presses on the men until their shadows shrink into nothing. Marcus stands still, head tilted upward. He squints, the glare stabbing his eyes. For years he has measured time by sun and trumpet, but now the sun feels different. It feels closer, heavier, as if it is watching. The air is thick, shimmering with heat. The men strip off helmets to breathe, sweat streaking their faces. Even Gaius wipes his brow, though he curses as he does. The column drinks water greedily, but the skins are nearly dry. Titus leans on his shield, panting. It feels as though it will burn us alive. Marcus answers softly, "The sun always burns, but only now do we feel it." He remembers other noons, fields of wheat in Latium, his mother's voice calling him in from the grove, wine poured cool beneath shaded arches. Those memories feel like another man's life. The trumpet sounds to move again, but Marcus lingers a heartbeat longer, eyes locked on the burning orb above. He realizes, with a chill, that he sees not only light, but time itself. Every man has his midday, when the sun is highest, and from then on, every step leads only to dusk. He lowers his gaze, chest heavy. For him noon has passed. He walks now in the shadow of his own setting sun. It comes without warning. The column winds through another narrow pass when the enemy strikes again, hidden among the rocks. The clash is sudden, brutal. Shields slam, blades scream, bodies collide. Marcus fights, but his strength is not what it once was. Each swing burns his ribs, each breath drags. Then through the chaos he sees it, a warrior charging straight at him, eyes black with fury, axe raised high. Time slows. Marcus locks eyes with him. In those eyes he sees no rage, no mercy, only inevitability. It is not the man he sees, but the face of death itself, rushing to claim him. The axe descends. Marcus raises his shield, but too late. The blow splits wood, drives him to his knees. His vision shudders, red blooming at its edges. Before the finishing strike falls, Titus hurls himself forward, slamming his gladius into the warrior's side. The tribesman collapses, dragging Titus down with him. Marcus gasps, his body heavy, the world spinning. Death brushed him. He felt its breath, and though he still lives, he knows it waits. He cannot deny it any longer. When the fight ends, Marcus sits slumped, shield shattered, chest heaving. Titus kneels beside him, face streaked with sweat and blood. "You nearly," the boy begins. Marcus grips his arm, voice hoarse. "Not yet, but soon." The boy's eyes widen with fear. Marcus looks away. Better he learns now. No shield, no sword, no banner can keep death from its claim. That night, the camp is subdued. Fires burn low, men whisper less. The weight of the day sits heavy in every chest. Marcus lies apart, staring at the stars. The broken sword at his side gleams faintly in firelight. His shield lies discarded, splintered, useless. For the first time, he feels naked without it. He thinks of a promise, one made long ago, before war consumed his years. A promise to his sister. She had clutched his hand on the day he marched for the first time, her voice small but fierce. "Come back to see my child. Don't miss it." But years passed. Campaign after campaign swallowed time. He has never seen the child, his niece, now nearly grown. He imagines her walking the grove, laughing among olives, her face one he cannot picture. The unkept promise gnaws at him more than wounds. Death he can accept, failure he cannot. Titus approaches quietly, settling beside him. The boy speaks softly. "What weighs on you?" Marcus hesitates, then answers, "A promise I did not keep, and one I never will." The boy frowns, silent. Marcus continues, "We fight, we bleed, we march, but what matters are the voices we leave waiting. I left too many." Titus studies him, then murmurs, "Perhaps you've kept promises you didn't even know. To me, to the men." Marcus looks at him sharply, but the boy's eyes are steady, shining in the firelight. For a moment, Marcus feels something strange, pride mixed with sorrow. But when Titus drifts to sleep, Marcus remains awake. His sister's face drifts through his mind, her words echoing. He whispers into the night, "I am sorry." The stars do not answer. The promise remains unkept. The march continues through a desolate plain. The grass is brittle, the soil cracked, no villages, no herds, no sign of life, only wind. At first, it is only a breeze, tugging at cloaks and banners, but soon it grows stronger, curling through the column, carrying with it a sound. Marcus cannot mistake whispers. He hears them faintly, like voices just beyond reach. At first he tells himself, it is the men muttering. But the words do not belong to the living, they belong to the fallen. Marcus, the sound is thin, stretched like thread in the wind. He stiffens. Septimus's voice, unmistakable. Another gust brings Varro's laughter, though Varro lies cold miles behind. Even his mother's voice joins the chorus, soft and sorrowful. Marcus stops in his tracks. Titus glances at him, concerned. "What is it?" "Nothing." Marcus growls, but the wind pulls harder, rattling his armor, filling his ears with ghosts. He marches on, but every step is haunted. Each gust carries another name, another fragment. He remembers comrades long gone, battles fought years ago, faces he thought he'd buried. The wind exhumes them all. By nightfall, the campfire offers no warmth. Marcus sits apart, cloak tight, listening. The whispers have not stopped. Titus sits beside him, silent. At last Marcus mutters, "Do you hear them?" The boy shakes his head. "Only the wind." Marcus looks into the flames. For him, the wind will never be only wind again. The wind's voices do not fade. They follow Marcus into his dreams, into his waking hours. He grows quieter, more withdrawn. Titus stays close, but even his presence cannot shield Marcus from what gnaws inside. It is not the enemy on the ridges that terrifies him. It is the one within. He doubts. Every step, every command, every strike feels hollow. Was mercy weakness? Was the fallen standard a sign? Was the broken sword a curse? He questions everything he once held as unshakable. During the march, he catches himself muttering aloud, names of the dead, fragments of prayers. Titus hears and looks at him with alarm, but Marcus waves him off. Keep moving. By evening, the column halts near a grove. The men eat in silence, too tired to speak. Marcus sits apart, staring into his broken sword. The jagged steel reflects firelight, like shattered glass. He sees his face in it, lined, tired, mortal. The enemy within whispers again. It is time. Lay it down. The march ends here. Marcus grips the steel, tighter, knuckles white. He cannot give in, but neither can he silence the voice. Titus approaches, offering bread. Marcus takes it, though he does not eat. His hand shakes. For the first time, Titus looks at him not as a mentor, but as a man slipping away. The night is cold, colder than the others. Marcus lies awake, eyes fixed on the stars. Sleep will not come. When it does, it is no comfort. It drags him into shadow. In his dream, he is on the battlefield again, but the ground is not dirt, it is flesh. Pale arms reach from beneath the soil, hands grasping his legs, pulling him down. He recognizes the faces as they rise from the dark. Septimus, Varro, comrades long dead. Their eyes are empty, their mouths open in silence, but their hands are strong. They drag him lower, into the earth. Marcus thrashes, trying to tear free, but for every hand he breaks, two more clutch him. He cries out, but no voice leaves his lips. Then his mother appears, not young, but as he last saw her, hair streaked with gray, eyes brimming with sorrow. She does not speak, but she reaches out her hand, for a heartbeat. Marcus thinks she will pull him free, but her hand pushes too. He jerks awake, gasping, sweat cold on his skin. Titus stirs beside him. What is it? Marcus cannot speak. His hands still tremble. He stares at them as though they are not his own. The dream clings to him. The fallen do not only haunt his thoughts, they claim him. The hands of the dead are waiting, and he knows now they will not let him go. The march is slow, each man bent under the weight of armor, hunger, and ghosts. The air is heavy, thick with silence. Then, without warning, the sky darkens. Clouds swell like bruises across the heavens. Wind howls, carrying dust into eyes and throats. Lightning rips the horizon in jagged streaks, and thunder booms so loudly the men flinch as if struck. Marcus raises his face to the storm. Rain begins to fall, first as a mist, then as a torrent. The drops hit armor like hammers, washing blood and dust into rivulets along the path. The legion falters, shields raised not against spears, but the wrath of the heavens. Titus shouts over the roar. The gods are angry. Marcus grips his shield, though it splinters under the storm. His voice is steady, though his chest aches. No, boy, the gods are laughing. The column presses forward, thunder rolling above, lightning striking hillsides. Men whisper prayers, some curse openly, others march with jaws set in grim defiance. Gaius bellows commands, but even his voice is swallowed by the storm. Marcus feels it deep within. The sky mirrors him, cracked, furious, breaking. The thunder is the echo of his own heart, the lightning the fracture of his spirit. He knows storms pass, but this one feels different. This one feels like a herald. By the time the rain eases, the legion is soaked, trembling, their fire quenched before it can be lit. They collapse into mud, their cloaks clinging. teeth chattering. Marcus stares into the blackened clouds, waiting for the next crack. The storm has passed, but he feels it lingering inside. His sky has cracked, and it will not mend. The storm passes, but the men are left hollow. They march the next morning in silence, mud sucking at their sandals, cloaks heavy with damp. The banner sways like a wounded bird. Marcus feels every step as a battle. His ribs burn, his breath is shallow. The broken sword weighs at his belt, heavier than iron should. He hides his weakness, but Titus sees it in the way he leans, in the tremor of his hand. By midday, his strength falters. He stumbles once, twice. On the third, he collapses. The mud rises to meet him, cold and wet, embracing him like a grave. Titus cries out, dropping beside him, "Marcus, get up." He shakes him, panic breaking his voice. The line halts, men turning to see the old wolf brought low. Marcus tries to rise, but his body will not obey. He feels the mud pulling him down, soothing him. "Rest," it whispers. "You have carried enough." Titus grips his shoulders, eyes wild. "You can't stop now." Marcus looks at him through blurred vision. The boy's face swims, desperate, pleading. He wants to answer, but no words come. His breath rattles, shallow. For the first time, he feels the nearness of the end, not as an enemy, but as release. Gaius strides forward, barking at men to lift him. Two soldiers drag Marcus up, supporting his weight. He sways between them, half conscious, the world dimming around the edges. As they march on, he hangs between life and dark. His head lolls, eyes half closed, mud streaked across his cheek like war paint. He feels himself slipping, not fighting it this time. Darkness is warm, quiet, almost kind. Only Titus's hand, gripping his arm, keeps him tethered. The boy's voice cuts through the haze. "Not yet, please, not yet." Marcus blinks, forcing himself to remain in the light, but the darkness lingers, pressing at his edges, promising rest. He knows he cannot keep it at bay forever. The night is long, but Marcus drifts between sleep and waking. His body aches with every breath, fever burning from his wound. The fire crackles low, shadows dancing across his face. Titus sleeps nearby, though uneasily, one hand still on his sword, as if guarding more than just the camp. Marcus closes his eyes, and the dream comes, but it is not the twisted battlefield visions of before. It is gentle, warm. He stands once more in the olive grove of his youth. The air hums with cicadas, sunlight filtering golden through leaves, and there, his mother, strong and kind, her arms open, his sister beside her, smiling, a child tugging at her skirt, a niece. The child he never met, laughing as though the whole world were joy. Marcus kneels, arms open, and the child runs to him. He lifts her easily, spinning, laughter echoing like bells. His sister kisses his brow. His mother rests her hand on his shoulder. For the first time in years, peace floods him, but as quickly as it comes, it begins to fade. The grove dims, the laughter thins, the hands slip away. He clutches at the child, but she dissolves into light. His mother's voice whispers, "It is time." He wakes with tears streaking the dirt on his cheeks. Titus stirs, glancing at him, but Marcus turns away. He cannot speak of what he saw. The vision is his alone, his last gift before the darkness closes for good. The march halts once more, men too weak to press on. Fires are lit, but most flicker, starved of wood. Only one burns strong. The fire Marcus sits beside. He watches the flame with strange fascination. It dances, fragile and wild, yet it does not die. It bends, bows, twists, but endures. The men gather near, silent, faces hollow. The fire becomes their only comfort, the only proof that warmth still exists in a world of cold. Titus sits across from Marcus, staring too. "Do you think the flame lasts forever?" the boy asks. Marcus shakes his head faintly. "Nothing lasts forever. Not fire, not men, not Rome." Titus frowns, as though refusing to believe it. but Marcus continues. Yet even when it dies, another is lit, that is eternity. Not the flame, but the passing of fire from one hand to another. The boy studies him, and in his eyes Marcus sees the truth. Titus is the flame now. The boy carries what Marcus can no longer bear. The fire pops, sparks rising into the dark. Marcus leans close, feeling its heat against his face. He whispers so softly, only the flame hears. Carry them, carry me. For the first time, he feels no fear. The flame will outlast him. The final march is short, but it feels eternal. The sun lowers, staining the horizon with crimson and gold. The legion trudges forward, but Marcus lags, each step dragging. His body is failing. His soul knows the end. The trumpet calls halt. The men drop packs, shields, exhausted. The banner sways weakly in the wind, its gilded hand dark against the bleeding sky. Marcus stumbles to a ridge, overlooking the horizon. He leans on his shield, breath shallow. The sun is immense, swollen, pouring its fire across the world. It is not a sunset of peace, it is violent, bleeding, a wound in the heavens. Titus rushes to his side. Rest, please, Marcus. Marcus shakes his head faintly. His voice is low, but steady. No, not yet. I must see it. They stand together in silence, as the sun sinks lower. The light washes Marcus's face, turning his scars to molten gold. His eyes glisten, not with tears, but with reflection. He whispers, "Every man has his sunset. This one is mine." The boy grips his arm, unwilling to let go. But Marcus does not fight the fading. He watches the sun dip, the crimson spilling across the land. The horizon swallows it slowly, deliberately, as though savoring the last of its strength. When the final sliver of light vanishes, Marcus exhales, a long, quiet breath, heavy with years. His knees buckle. Titus catches him, lowering him gently to the ground. The sky burns above them, but for Marcus, the fire is gone. The sunset has taken him with it. The sun is gone. The horizon holds only afterglow, a smoldering line between earth and sky. Darkness seeps quickly into the valley, swallowing sound, swallowing breath. Marcus lies still in Titus's arms. The men nearby lower their eyes, some bowing heads, some staring blankly. No trumpet sounds, no command rises. The legion breathes together in silence. The world does not pause for grief. The wind shifts, carrying the scent of ash. Crickets begin their chorus. A wolf howls far off. Life continues, indifferent. The empire marches on, whether Marcus breathes or not. Titus trembles, holding Marcus's cooling body. His chest heaves, but no tears fall. He is beyond weeping. The boy looks at the scarred face, the closed eyes, the lips frozen in that final breath. For him, Marcus was not only a soldier, he was a wall, a guide, a father. The gods never gave him. And now the wall has fallen. Yet in the silence something grows, not despair but resolve. The recruits glance at Titus, then at Marcus. Without words, they understand. The torch has passed. The silence is heavy, but within it, a vow forms. Marcus has fallen, but Rome will not. Dawn returns, soft and gray. The trumpet calls once more, though its voice is subdued, respectful. The men rise, slower than usual, but they rise. Rome does not stop. Rome cannot stop. Marcus does not rise with them. He is buried on the ridge, overlooking the land where his last sunset burned. His shield, broken, rests above him. His sword, shattered, lies across his chest. The standard stands nearby, planted firm in the earth. Titus oversees the burial. His hands shake as he places a stone over Marcus's heart. "He carried us," he whispers, voice raw. "Now we carry him." The legion watches. For a moment, discipline bends, and every man bows his head. Even Garius, stern as stone, lowers his gaze. Silence is their offering. Respect their prayer. When the trumpet calls them to march, the men rise with new strength. The memory of Marcus moves among them, unseen but felt. He is gone, but his presence lingers in the set of their shoulders, in the fire in their eyes. Titus shoulders his pack, his gladius steady in his grip. He takes one last look at the ridge. The sun rises behind it, spilling gold across the sky. For Marcus, the sun has set. For Titus, it begins anew. The march continues. The standard sways above them, scarred but unbroken. The soldier is gone, but the legacy remains. And so the Roman soldier's final sunset becomes eternal, not in the heavens, but in the hearts of those who march on.